Where do we even start with something like Green Lantern? Now, while I am the resident Green Lantern fan here, I took the day off for that movie. I called off. It was my first day off here. And I've been here for like 6 years, and that was the first day I called off. And I will never be able to live that down here, ever. I can't call off a day off from work without someone bringing up that goddamn Green Lantern movie. I will never be able to escape it. I will never be able to live it down. And I will die cursing Ryan Reynolds' name.
Green Lantern, the movie. I'm actually one of the only people in this entire world that actually liked the movie. You know, it had a great story behind it. You got to see Sinestro before he became bad. It was just unbelievably awesome. I mean, I remember waiting and waiting to see that movie. And then when they released it, great. I loved every minute of it.
The only good part of Green Lantern was at the very end with Sinestro. That's it. That's it. If it hadn't been that end of Sinestro, I would be sitting in an insane asylum right now, wearing one of them crazy jackets, babbling to myself.
Oh man, Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern. Yeah, about that. Could we get another Green Lantern?
I should have known instantly when they cast Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern how this was going to turn out. I mean, I know you Deadpool fans out there, you Blade fans out there, and somehow they still keep calling him for movies. Hopefully that Green Lantern just ended that. Just ended it.
When you're whisked into space by a crazy energy and just end up in an alien planet, you do not do a dance. You don't do that. You are on the floor throwing up and crying and screaming because you have just been whisked away to an alien world. You do not in any way have a good time and joke with yourself and look in the mirror. No. That was just stupid, and that's when they lost me right there.
He is not Green Lantern. He is not Hal Jordan. That was a terrible. It was a terrible movie, and it was mostly because Ryan Reynolds was a terrible Green Lantern.
Loves the Tom Hiddleston. Love him.
Thor was awesome. Thor is at least my current favorite character. So I was really excited when they did that movie. And I thought it was great. I liked seeing Thor battle big baddies. You know, when I thought the ice giant scene was awesome. I thought they did a great job. I thought it was a good development of character. It was a good showing that he had to why he might be so attracted to Earth. Earth, is where he kind of learned his lesson on not to be so overconfident in his power. But yeah, I thought they did a great job with it.
Thor was good. Chris Hemsworth was very good Thor. He had a lot of charisma.
Thor. Well, Thor was a good movie. I actually liked Thor because, A, it had Natalie Portman in it. How can you go wrong? I mean, if her head would have been shaved, it would have been 10 times better, if you know what I mean, because she's just unbelievably hot with her head shaved. Unbelievably hot with her head shaved. And it had a giant hammer in it,
I wish they would have showed more Asgard like they did in the second one. So when the second one came out, I was happy with that.
His entrance sort of like spurred S.H.I.E.L.D. to sort of like getting the Avengers together and sort of preparing themselves for invasion by beings who are like far more powerful than we are, like individually more powerful than we are, then carrying things that looks like it was made in the 1500s or 1300s, which can like level a city. And I mean, I like the whole thing that they're also considered like aliens in a way.
Not a big fan of the Destroyer. I think that's who he fights at the end. Yeah, there's no personality there. It's like a large robot that just shoots lasers all over the place. But Natalie Portman's pretty cute, so.
Skip it. I was trying myself, I did, and then they were like, "Oh, by the way, this is now the bridge to the whole new 52 thing." I was like, "Ah, crap!" So I got it.
You get to see Batman's parents in this weird little dichotomy between Batman and Joker, and that in itself was a really, really sweet issue, and I liked what it did. I didn't really like what became of it, but I liked Flashpoint.
It was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and if you, like, the main story was actually okay, and it actually translated well into the animated movie that they did. That was actually a really good animated movie. The movie was actually more enjoyable than the series, which is odd. But then, like, those miniseries outside of the main event were just so bad. Like, I didn't care. I did not care. And like, this is how we usher in the new age. That's not good.
I was super into the New 52. I actually went to a midnight release for that, and I was going every new comic book day. I was there for the first couple months, and then it got too much for me now. I just kind of go in and get the trade paperbacks.
I was very impressed that DC had the manliness, the cojones, whatever, the fortitude to really just like, we're just gonna kind of say no to how many years has DC been out? Like a couple hundred. So they've dropped like a couple hundred years of content. They dropped a couple hundred years of continuity and basically just started over again. And I thought that took a lot of that took some bravery. Especially for a very big company like that. But then when you actually read the books and discovered that everybody, the costume designs were by Jim Lee, and everybody had armor, and that was painful. And then the stories were also painful. Batman was really good. Justice League was interesting. It looked nice anyway. It started off really well. Sorry, I should say it looked nice after Jim Lee left, and then. But it really after the excitement waned and you knew that this was as good as it got, like it was crap. And I'm glad that they got rid of the underpants on the outside. I'd had enough of that. I'm glad they sort of updated Wonder Woman's costume, but the stories were weak. And now, I think I got like all the first issues of each of the series, and then I think I only read like Justice League and Batman now, and that's it. I'm a little disappointed. I really thought they were going to kind of go in a more adult direction, and there's books out there that I swear to God it's like written like for a 5-year-old, and I was a little disappointed.
This was a really good example of the butterfly effect. What if the Flash did save his mom? Didn't work out that well for everyone else. Everyone kind of got screwed over, but it was really the beginnings of something that could have been really cool, which was the DC New 52. Unfortunately, the DC New 52 was like a watered-down version of the old 52. The only comic I think was standing was the Batman series, because DC was smart enough not to really touch it. They left Scott Snyder on as the writer. He came over from Detective Comics, and he kicked it off with the Court of the Owls, and it was just a really, really cool approach to the comics.
But the Court of Owls was just amazing.
That was brilliant. That was the only thing when they did this 52 relaunch, I was really disappointed in a lot of the stories. Batman was the only thing I stuck with, and Scott Snyder he still hits the ball out of the park every time.
It was a good way of inventing a new villain for Bruce Wayne, and they did really cool stuff with it. I mean, there was one issue where Bruce Wayne's going through these tunnels underneath Gotham, and it turns out to be a giant maze, and he's trying to find his way out.
Do you remember that issue where you open it up and Batman is drugged, okay, and he's in their underground lair, and he's traveling room to room, and there's these flashes, cameras or whatever, and it's keeping him disoriented.
And the artwork in the comic, I forget who drew it, but they actually make it so you get lost in the comic. They have the maze going, and the panels start flipping upside down as you go through.
And you're flipping it around to follow him because it's all wacky, and then next thing you know, there's another flash at the end of it. You turn the page, and you're back to the page you just read 2 pages ago or something.
So you flip over the comic to read through it, and you start spinning the other way, and you don't know where you are. And I've never seen anything like that done in a comic, and it was really cool.
They have imposed a massive psychedelic experience upon Batman, and you are there with him, and you're like, "What the hell?" And then you figure it out. It took me a good 3 hours. I then did get a mask like that, and would drug people and invite them over for dinner.
think it was the most lighthearted World War II movie I have ever seen in my life. That's how I took it. I mean, I might have been taking that wrong, but that whole USO show, and I mean, I love that genre. So perhaps I shouldn't have gone in there thinking it was going to be Enemy at the Gates.
Captain America, the first one, was like, they set out to do a movie that wouldn't be bad, and they succeeded. They were just like, we're gonna show Captain America in a decent light, we're gonna put like a solid origin together, but that's it. And we're gonna hold the line right there, because we're not sure what we want Captain America to do or be yet, so let's just make a movie that isn't terrible. And that's what they did. So, I enjoyed it for not being terrible.
Captain America was a huge disappointment, but at the same time, I like it a lot. I don't exactly know how to describe it. I was expecting like a more gritty World War II, like I was expecting blood and gore, more of a Band of Brothers type thing with a superhero in it.
Captain America was awesome. I liked the first one. The second one, of course, was much better. But the first one, when as soon as they cast Chris Evans, I thought, what a disaster. There's no way that he can be Captain America. He's too goofy. He is a terrible Human Torch. So how can he be a good Captain America? But he proved me wrong. He was awesome. I couldn't imagine anybody else in that role.
Chris Evans outgrew the Human Torch persona, and he became Captain America. Which, I mean, at first I didn't think it was going to work, but over the course of the Avengers and Captain America 2, which was by far one of the best Marvel movies in the entire series, in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, he really grew into the character. And I think, even though his start wasn't that strong, he's continuing on pretty well.
Captain America. I thought Captain America was an awesome movie. I thought it was fantastic the way they put it together. The whole story was done well. You got to see the origin of him.
I don't know. He's okay. He's like too much of a Boy Scout, like too much of a do-gooder, and he doesn't have the flaws, like I said, with Iron Man that you can relate to.
I like to see. It was good to see Stark's father in there. That was cool. They're tying it all together. But they accomplished their mission. It's not going to stink.